Am I the asshole for refusing to get back off the bus so a disabled lady could get on first? I live in a city in the NWS that has a robust transportation system. A few days ago I was waiting to take the bus at a busy intersection during the morning rush hour. Predictably, there were several people at the bus stop waiting. Before I continue, a few things. 1. I had my headphones on and really wasn't paying attention to my surroundings as I was in my own zone. 2. To get on the bus you have to put the card into the fare gate and it takes literally 2 seconds. Continuing on, the bus arrives and literally pulls up right in front of me. Like the hundreds of other times I've ridden the bus, I go on to put my card to pay and to move back and the bus driver covers the fare gate. I look up and he tells me that I need to get off the bus and let a lady that had pulled up behind me in a wheelchair, who I didn't see, get on first. Normally, I would have done it, but the way he told me was pretty disrespectful and frankly embarrassing. I stood my ground and told him to save the courtesy lessons for his fucking son. I would call myself the asshole if I jumped in front of the lady or if the bus were full to capacity and only a few people could get on. But neither were the case. Instead, I found myself arguing with some clown bus driver trying to control the order people are getting on the bus. I told him the time that he is spending arguing with me and blocking me from paying the fare. We could have been 2 stops ahead. After a standoff, I eventually got on the bus, and the disabled lady that we were arguing about didn't because she was at the wrong stop. So we literally had that hang for nothing lol. My friends say that I am kinda an asshole given the lady was disabled. I also could have turned the other cheek after the bus driver's rude comments, but I don't think it makes me an asshole for not doing so. Or maybe I am but also pay too much dollar for a bus pass to be talked to like I am a second grader riding a school bus. This ultimately came down to being respected and not really needing to get on the bus first. Am I the asshole? Edit. I am reading the comments and there are some good points. I am not going to comment individually because that just results getting downvoted into oblivion. I will agree that I was part to blame not because I refused to get off the bus but my smartass response escalated the situation. I should have stood my ground without stooping to the level of the driver. Most of you are making judgments without understanding the context of taking public transportation, so I want to address those. The bus driver was doing his job. The bus driver's job is to drive the bus and make suit everyone pays. It's not to determine the order people get on the bus. By not allowing me to pay, I would argue that he was not doing his job. There was plenty of room for the lady in the handicap section and she would have gotten on just fine whether she was first, second, or 10th. It was not necessary for me to get off once I was already on the bus. This wasn't the first time someone on a wheelchair has gotten on the bus. In fact, most of the time they get on last because of the steps it takes to secure them. Take your headphones off. People that are saying this obviously have not experienced public transportation in a busy city during rush hour. It's pretty standard for people to listen to music or headphones in. In fact, most women do it because it prevents them from being bothered and hit on. I had enough awareness to see the bus and see the driver get my attention. It's not my job to care who else is getting on and off the bus. Bus drivers take enough shit. I agree, but that doesn't give them the right to talk to the public as they see fit. They are public servants and should be able to deal with the public in a respectful manner. By talking to me the way he did in front of the bus, he basically called me an asshole in public. Again, I should have turned the other cheek, but I wonder if many of you could have the fortitude to do so in a similar situation. Uembarrassed the lady. No, the bus driver did by drawing attention to her in a demonstrative manner. Had I been allowed to complete the transaction, I would have been out the way and no one would have batted an eye as she got on the bus. With that being said, I agree with the everyone sucks here tag, whether that is what ultimately wins. Thank you to all those who provided objective analysis of the situation with devolving into insulting me lol. You didn't need to escalate the way you did. You could have simply stated you had no idea she was behind you as you were listening to whatever was on your headphones and just stood there. As I've said in many other Am I the Asshole posts, just because you can be an asshole to someone, for whatever reason you have, doesn't mean you should be. That's a large part of the problem with society and this sub. You are the asshole. By making a point about not being talked to like a second grader, you basically proved you have the mentality of a second grader, who doesn't deserve the respect he is demanding. A mature adult would have complied with the driver's instructions. The driver didn't pull directly in front of you, he pulled in front of her. It is also rude and childish to use headphones as an excuse for being situationally unaware. You put in the headphones as a way to ignore everybody, so it's no surprise you didn't know the woman was behind you. You are the asshole. Pay attention to the world around you. You made a mistake, own it like an adult. Not the asshole you were already in the bus. Not the asshole SMH. The amount of people in the comments saying you're an asshole is funny. The driver made a scene for no reason. You're already on the bus waiting to pay or whatever. What is the point of getting off the bus just to let the disabled lady on? It'd literally be faster to let you pay and then allow the disabled lady on, which is what happens all the time. Someone who has rode on public buses for 10 years LMAO. You are the asshole. There is no nice way the bus driver could have told you off according to you. You wouldn't have let the lady board the bus just because someone told you to. It is also evident from what you said that you think the lady can get in only if she came there before you did, and if she hadn't you wouldn't have given up your spot for her. Everyone sucks here. The bus driver was on a power trip trying to control the boarding order, but you could have turned the other cheek given how trivial the request was. NTA. Am I the asshole for refusing to accommodate to my infertile neighbor? Sorry for the formatting and my writing, English is not my first language. My husband, 29M, and I, 28F, have been living here for 5Y, ever since we married. Our previous neighbors were an adorable couple in their 60s-70s. We had a fairly good relationship and was kinda sad when they left. This year I gave birth to my son, 6 Malio. When my new neighbors, let's call them Paul and Anna, moved in I was 2 months pregnant. We weren't friends but we would say hi to each other here and there. I sunbathe every day, it's something I have been doing since childhood. I was a very anemic kid and my mom made me do it to help with my anemia. I don't even know if it works, but it is a habit that helps me start my day. This was not a problem until my pregnancy became apparent. The left side of the yard has 2 kinds of fences, one low, 5 male, that used to have a hedge on the neighbor side, that they cut off, and one taller, 2 male, in the rest of the backyard. It's hard to see it from the ground, but they still can see our whole yard and part of our main floor from the second floor. When I was 5 months pregnant, Paul told my husband that my sunbathing was making them uncomfortable. I sunbathe in shorts and tank tops, nothing out of the ordinary, I just ignored them and kept my routine. The following month he did it again. Until my 8th month, I was back from a walk with my husband, and Anna was in the front of the house. Once she saw me she stormed inside and slammed the door. The following day Paul came to our house and told us that they have fertility problems and seeing me pregnant was making her heavily uncomfortable, and I was a insensitive bit. Currently I am working from home and the baby is close to me in a playpen in the living room, and we have another in the backyard on the terrace. So I can have him close when gardening or just playing with him. Well, I made his wife uncomfortable again yesterday. I was in the living room playing with the baby when he knocked. He asked me to move from the living room because his wife could see me from their balcony. I told him to tell her to look in the other direction and leave me alone. Today, my husband and I were grilling some meat in the backyard. The baby was hungry so I started to breastfeed. When I looked at their house Anna was on the balcony, she went in and a few minutes later Paul was at our door again. I gave my son to my husband and I answered the door. Paul went off on me for breastfeeding in public, again my fenced yard, and being inconsiderate. When he finished I told him to leave us alone, don't knock on my door again, and if his wife is so upset over seeing a baby she needs therapy and not him harassing my family. And I will do everything I want in my own home. At the time I felt justified but I was venting with my mom and she told me I was wrong, and I couldn't understand because I never suffered from infertility and I need to apologize. So am I the asshole? Edit. I sat down with my husband to talk about the precautions. I was so annoyed that I wasn't thinking about the risks. We will be installing cameras and a taller fence. Unfortunately the vision from the balcony will stay the same because the city won't let us build taller than 4 meters. But this will help anyway. I called my dad to get some help with the fence, and he ended up talking to my mom. She called and apologized. She suffered from infertility and postpartum depression. When I spoke to her she felt Anna's pain, but she also remembered some crazy things she did at the period and gave me some extra precautions to take. About the restraining order, we called our lawyer. He told us to get a few footages, because until now we only have our word and our other's neighbor's testimony. And if he show up again to record it and call the cops, if he came to my house 5 times to call the cops each time. But still will be hard to get one. Thank to all of you for your responses. I didn't finish reading, but all of yours advice was more than useful. Not the asshole. This isn't your problem. It sucks for them, but are you really gonna stop being a mom at certain viewpoints cause they can't have a baby? She needs to stop looking at your home, that's it and that's all. Not the asshole. She needs a therapist and you need a restraining order against them. Not the asshole. Document everything and fill a restraining order if this behavior continues. This is harassment. You are not being inconsiderate for living your life. The world doesn't stop spinning because this couple can't have a baby. Not the asshole. These people need to mind their own damn business. That woman clearly needs therapy. I'd lock my doors and keep an eye on that baby at all times. Psycho. Not the asshole. They seem to have focused on you as the issue instead of their fertility. This is harassment. Start documenting every interaction, every slammed door, every knock on your door. At some point this will most likely need for you to involve the police. Be very careful with your baby. The fact it's him every time hints at her being beyond unhinged. Not the asshole. Your therapy comment was spot on. How is she going to survive in public if pregnant ladies and babies make her uncomfortable? Is her husband going to ask them to leave wherever they are? This is entirely a them problem, not a you problem. Not the asshole. Next time the husband comes over, tell him you feel uncomfortable that his wife is watching you in your own home and yard. You can be nice about it and say you're sorry they have fertility issues, but point out that it's unreasonable to hide a child and his wife could benefit from counseling as well as some tall plants on her balcony so she doesn't look in windows. Am I the asshole for asking my brother's girlfriend not to use my things? So my 31F brother, 29M, is currently saving up a deposit to buy a house and has moved in with me to save money. This is our family home, where both he and I lived until we went to university, which our parents rented. When our dad passed away last August, Mum passed 7 years before. I bought this house from our landlord because even though we didn't own it, it was our family home and I didn't want to ever be in a position to lose all those memories, so I own the house. Well, I pay the mortgage, but I understand why my brother thinks of it as home. My brother does not pay rent, but he contributes £50 per month to pay for Sky Sports and BT Sports, which he watches and I do not. All of this is fine with me. I want him to be able to save to buy a house. Now the issue is his girlfriend, 25F. She stays 3 nights a week. She lives with her parents. She obviously eats here and makes such a huge mess, and as she is my brother's guest doesn't pay anything. I get annoyed about the mess, but I am a neat freak. The problem is that she uses my things. I'm pretty frugal, but my one luxury is nice skincare and bath, shower stuff. It's expensive, and I buy stuff for my brother and her to use that's not expensive. I've asked them both multiple times not to use my stuff, and to use the other stuff provided. It's not crap, it's nice and branded, or to provide their own. I don't feel I should have to keep my stuff in my room in my own house, to stop them from using it. It's not just the bathroom. She goes into my room and uses my skincare and masks, takes my hairdryer to my brother's room, and doesn't leave it back. I bought a separate hairdryer and put it in my brother's room to stop this. I have complained about this multiple times. It came to a head this past weekend when she stayed and used a full bottle of my 22 pounds conditioner on her hair, because she'd had it bleached and it needed it, and to shave her legs. I blew up at her, and told her if she wanted to stay in my house, she would have to replace it. It was brand new unopened. She said she is a guest and should be allowed to use whatever she wants because guests get the best, and because it's my brother's house too. I know I overreacted, but this has been going on for months, and I keep being polite about it and don't get anywhere. My brother shouted at me and told me I am an asshole for treating his girlfriend like a second-class citizen by asking her to use the cheap stuff while keeping all the nice stuff for myself. Am I the asshole? Edit. I'm really overwhelmed. I had felt hideously guilty and selfish for my actions. I want my brother to be comfortable and his girlfriend to feel welcome, but I guess I have been allowing them to take advantage, and that isn't good for any of us long-term. I'm going to tell my brother that I expect him to pay some money. I won't tell him that I will save it and give it back to him when he leaves, and that his girlfriend is not welcome until she can be respectful of my home and property. Honestly, even typing what I'm going to do, that I feel a pang of guilt, but I can't keep dreading the weekend when girlfriend comes to stay. I'm going to explain to her that I expect her to bring her own things when she is staying overnight, and that she won't be staying unless she asks me in advance. Then I can remind her to bring her shit. It's my house, my things, my expense. When I think about it, I have been taken advantage of. If they don't accept this, I will have to ask my brother to leave. Not the asshole. Either he pays rent and she pays for your things, or he isn't allowed to host in the house. Right now he's essentially a guest, and not an actual renter. Better you act like he's not entitled to any guests until he can set some boundaries. Not the asshole, she sounds horrible. Figure out about how much she costs you every month and charge that amount to your brother for his monthly rent. Not the asshole, please stand up for yourself. Tell them both it's your house. Stop buying stuff for your brother and his girlfriend, let him buy his own bath products and other personal items, contribute to groceries and pay half for utilities if they want to continue to live at your house. Not the asshole. She needs to buy her own things or stay at her parents' house every night. The guest gets the best, is when someone is staying for a weekend once a year, not when they are staying 3 nights a week, which pretty much means she is living there half the time. Not the asshole. I read your edit and you're not handling it properly. Your brother needs to talk to his girlfriend, not you. Everything goes through him because he is the one you have the connection with. Do you see how much stuff you let her get away with because you didn't hold him accountable? Not the asshole. If you want the expensive stuff for his girlfriend, he can go out and buy it for her. You ain't running a B&B. Also, if he thinks it's his house, he should pay rent. Not the asshole. She's not your guest, and even if she was, it'd be entirely your discretion what you offered her to use. She can always bring her own stuff. Stop keeping your stuff in public spaces until you can get them out of your house. Not the asshole. I think you might want to clarify whose name is on the mortgage. Then you can point out how your brother doesn't pay for anything, including his own toiletries. Then you can tell your brother that he can pay for their toiletries. It's going to be a busy day for you. Would I be the asshole for telling my best friend that he can find a new best man? So, my best friend, 23M, and I, 23M, have been friends for over 10 years, since about 6th grade. However, he has a really bad issue with lying. His son is now about 3.5. However, for the first half of his life, he made it extremely known to me that he really didn't know if he loved his now fiancée. We'll call her Amy. He had a massive crush on my fiancée's best friend. We'll call her Mary, and constantly told me that he loved her. He would hang out with my fiancée and Mary all of the time. One night my fiancé told my buddy that he should just break up with Amy after my buddy told my fiancé that he loved Mary. Amy saw this message and was obviously pissed at my fiancé. However, my buddy had deleted the text about Mary. So, it appeared that my fiancé was just telling my buddy to break up with Amy. I also discovered that he had told Amy on numerous occasions that he was hanging out with me while he was out doing who knows what. Mind you, he did this without ever telling me that he was doing it. So, I have virtually no relationship with Amy and I haven't seen his son since he was about 2 months old. Here is where the current issue lies. Last year, he asked me to be his best man at his wedding. After I obviously said yes, he goes, "Oh, by the way, your fiancé can't come because Amy doesn't like her." I was irritated and, eventually, I reached out to him again and explained the situation and how I wanted my fiancé to be able to go to the wedding. Long story short, my buddy tells me that they are having to cut down on the people at their wedding due to him and Amy paying for a majority of the wedding. I said I get it, and that was that. I wasn't going to try to force my fiancé to be at the wedding if they were paying for it. That was about 6 months ago. Well, today I was finishing organizing my buddy's bachelor party and it came to my attention that at least one of the other groomsmen is bringing a +1. The wedding party is not that big, 4 on each side, 8 total, so I was livid. I haven't reached out to my buddy about it yet, but I'm close to just that I'm done. When he talked to me about it 6 months ago, he gave the impression that they were cutting people out of the wedding to save costs. Now I'm learning, that's not the case. It now appears that was a half-truth and he basically lied to my face about it. Now I'm wondering how many other people in the wedding party have a +1. I feel like it's not my fault that Amy hates my fiancé and dislikes me. Those are both 100% his fault because he was lying all the time. Now I feel like a fool because he lied to me about the reason why my fiancé wouldn't be there. I had told him that I wasn't sure if I'd be his best man if my fiancé could not attend. So, here is where I am torn. I really want to tell him off. However, the wedding is now under 3 weeks away, and I'd really screw things over and most certainly lose my friend if I back out. So, WIBTA? Edit for clarity. I have no knowledge of whether or not he actually cheated on his fiancée. He did a lot of behind her back stuff, but I cannot for certain say that he cheated. I'm not saying any of it is okay, but But I cannot in good faith go to his fiancée and tell her that he was cheating if I am not absolutely certain he was. Why do you want to stand in a wedding where you know the groom has been cheating on the bride? Why do you appear to be so okay with the fact that the groom has been cheating on the bride? Why are you okay with him cutting out your fiancée because she was the only one who spoke up about the cheating? Edit. Since you refuse to address my questions, I'll just cut to the chase. You are the asshole. I also discovered that he had told Amy on numerous occasions that he was hanging out with me. He was out doing who knows what. Yeah, sorry, you are the asshole for not telling Amy that she was getting cheated on. Who knows what? We knows what. He was doing the cell block tango with Mary. Honestly, I think you've put up with too much shit already, but you're young and it takes you a while to figure out that sometimes your childhood friends grow up into assholes. And your friend? He's an asshole who doesn't care who he takes down as long as it's not him. Not the asshole, but if you do it, know that it likely will be the end of your friendship. I see that as a happy upside, but maybe you won't. YWBTAH if you don't tell Amy all of what you just posted. He's cheating on her. Emotionally and probably physically. He lies to you, so why wouldn't he lie to her? Not the asshole for backing out. Back out of the friendship entirely, to be honest. YWNB the asshole, op. He doesn't sound like much of a friend. Tell him off or don't, but this isn't a friendship I would hang on to anymore. I'm also not sure keeping his soon-to-be wife in the dark on his lies has been a great idea, but that's up to you. He has lied, then told more lies to cover up his lies and, quite frankly, disrespected you, and you're so. Not the asshole. You are right, you are going to lose your friend if you back out. But the question is this really a friend worth keeping in the first place? He lies to anyone and everyone, including his own partner and his best friend. He shamelessly threw your fiancé under the bus so he wouldn't have to tell Mary the truth. He also just told her that he was with you when he was out, which is really suspicious because I can only think of a couple things someone could do that they wouldn't want either their friend or partner to know. Everything that has happened and is about to happen is his fault. No one can blame you if you don't want to be friends with a liar or for prioritizing your own relationship instead of being part in this incredible shitshow. Not the asshole. He's a liar and it would be his fault. At this point, just cut him out. Not the asshole. He sabotaged your relationship with Amy and the son for a senseless lie for reasons unknown while lying about cutting down on the wedding. What hasn't he said behind your back to Amy is a major concern. Dude. Why are you still friends with him?